Hello everyone. In this video, we will continue the storyline from the series Black Knight, and never forget that I always pray for you and your family to be happy and healthy always. In this video, Sawol plans to participate in the courier recruitment selection, which requires him to fight against other participants. Not only that, Ryu, who has never liked refugees, starts to take action and carries out a plan that could endanger the refugees. Now, can 58 solve this problem? Let's dive into the story. After Sawol receives a flyer about the oxygen courier recruitment, he tries to intercept 58, who was about to go somewhere. It turns out Sawol's daring action was because he wanted to ask 58 to teach him how to pass the oxygen courier selection. Initially, 58 tells Sawol that he should be able to do it on his own. However, seeing Sawol's determination, 58 finally instructs him to come alone to a certain place and meet 58 there. Upon seeing Sawol's aspiration to become a courier, 58 is reminded of his past as a refugee. He had fought against Ryu's soldiers, who intended to massacre all the refugees in order to carry out a public electricity project. At that time, 58 fought with all his might, protecting the other refugees. Unfortunately, the number of soldiers was overwhelming, and he accidentally got shot by one of them. Despite that, 58 managed to survive and escape from the soldiers. However, he had to witness the deaths of his comrades and thousands of other refugees due to Ryu's greed. That night, when Sawol's friends found out that he would meet 58, they told him about a place called the Gates of Hell. It was a place where anyone who entered would be immediately attacked by a group of people believed to be elite couriers, including 58. Meanwhile, while Sawol was conducting an investigation, one of her subordinates suddenly informed her that they had just seen Courier 58 heading towards a certain location with some other couriers. In response, Sawol hurriedly went there to check what 58 was actually doing. On the other hand, 58 and several couriers, including Courier 41, who had previously taken care of Sawol, were discussing the kidnapping cases involving teenagers. It seemed that they already knew that the kidnappers were searching for a mutant like Sawol. However, before they could finish discussing the matter, they realized that there was a sound coming from outside the building. When 58 met Sawol, the other couriers pretended to be training, trying to hide their plans. Initially, 58 was suspicious of why Sawol had come to them, but once he learned that Sawol had the same goal as him, which was to find the mastermind behind the kidnapping cases, 58 finally provided information about a group of triangle-tattooed individuals who were responsible for the abductions in the public district and the refugee district. In short, after receiving information from 58, Sawol and her team immediately met with someone from the refugee district who had a child. They instructed the person to find anyone with triangle tattoos so they could put a stop to the frequent kidnapping cases happening in the area. Meanwhile, when Sawol arrived at the place known as the Gates of Hell, he initially felt scared, thinking that 58 would attack him. However, upon entering, he found only 58 and 41 waiting for him to provide special training. After finishing the training, 58 instructed Sawol to register. There, he discovered hundreds of participants from both the public district and the refugee district who had applied to become couriers. However, because Sawol didn't have a family card, he was given a new identity as refugee number 34. This made Sawol feel very sad because he couldn't use his own name. Nevertheless, 58 and 41 told him not to give up because they too didn't have names and were only referred to as 58 and 41. The next day, Sawol continued his training, focusing on agility. He had to hit high-speed baseballs directed toward him. However, Sawol couldn't do it at all, so one of the couriers showed him how to hit the balls. As time passed, with just a few training sessions, Sawol finally managed to complete the agility training. His fighting skills also improved as time went on. In short, when the first test began, all the participants gathered in a room and were instructed to fight against each other. Whoever could still stand after the oxygen in the room ran out would pass on to the next round. Utilizing the skills he acquired from training with 58 and the other couriers, Sawol fought against everyone who tried to attack him. Eventually, Sawol managed to survive and pass to the next round. On the other hand, after 58 and his comrades successfully thwarted another kidnapping attempt, Ryu became increasingly frustrated as his plans failed to succeed. He called Sawol and instructed her to hand over all the data on the residents in the refugee district. It seemed that Ryu intentionally lied to obtain data on people who had started to mutate. However, Sawol seemed unwilling to provide the data and tried to think of another way to deceive Ryu without rejecting the request from the Minister of Defense, who was apparently supporting Ryu. In their next meeting, Sawol only provided partial and unimportant information, which made Ryu angry because the data couldn't be used to locate someone who had transformed into a mutant. Ryu then asked Sawol to provide additional data, but she refused, stating that it would violate the privacy rights of the residents. That night, when one of Sawol's subordinates received information about a person with a triangle tattoo, Sawol and the others quickly launched their operation to capture the man. Unfortunately, when they successfully apprehended him, he activated a bomb strapped to his neck and ended up dying instantly. Several days later, when Sawol was about to undergo training, 58 asked him if he could drive a car, because the next test required him to work as a courier. Luckily, Sawol had the skill of driving a car, which made everyone confident that he would be able to pass the second test. Before the test, Sawol and the other participants were informed that this time it would be a courier test, where they had to safely deliver the packages they carried to the designated locations. During the test, they would be chased by hunters with the most extreme criminal backgrounds, who were also armed with weapons that could kill the participants. In this test, top-class couriers and executives from Cheonmyong Corporation also attended to observe firsthand and determine whether these aspiring couriers were qualified to become professional couriers. In short, when the test began, Sawol and the other participants immediately stepped on the gas, hoping to win the test. However, soon after, hunters started arriving from all directions, shooting at them and instantly causing several participants to fall. As Sawol tried to pass through a building, he was suddenly hit by one of the hunters' cars, causing his own car to overturn and become unusable. Sawol then tried to hitch a ride with another participant whose car was stuck in the ruins. After they managed to escape, they were once again attacked by the hunters, causing the participant who helped Sawol to fall from the top of the car. Initially, Sawol planned to win the test, but because he didn't want to see the participant who helped him get killed by the hunters, he was forced to prioritize saving that participant first. Eventually, the two of them reached the finish line together. However, the examiners stated that Sawol's box had been damaged, and since only 2 people were allowed to pass to the final round, the examiners declared that Sawol had failed the second test. At first, Sawol felt very sad because he couldn't fulfill his dream of becoming an oxygen courier. However, without realizing it, the participant whom Sawol had helped earlier decided to withdraw due to injuries, resulting in Sawol being selected for the final test. The next day, when Sawol arrived at the special district where the final test would take place, he happened to meet Sawol, who didn't expect that Sawol would fight this far to become an oxygen courier. Meanwhile, while 58 and his companions were waiting in the evacuation district, they noticed several vehicles belonging to Cheonmyong Corporation passing illegally. Without hesitation, 58 destroyed those vehicles. This incident made Ryu extremely angry, and he tried to meet his father to restrict the refugees who wanted to relocate. However, Jae-jin refused, as he wanted everyone to have a decent life in this broken world. In addition to being rejected by his father, Ryu was also frustrated because he couldn't find a cure for his illness. Fed up with the behavior of the refugees, he decided to destroy them by taking advantage of the final test match. Before the final test began, 41 warned Sawol to be careful, because a participant named Ju Gyong had extraordinary abilities and physical strength far above the average participant. Meanwhile, Sawol had only managed to reach the final through sheer determination. The following day, while the grandfather was fixing the TV so that he could watch the match, suddenly several trucks belonging to Cheonmyong Corporation arrived at the evacuation district. They announced to the residents that they had come to provide free live broadcasts of the final match. They even offered prizes to those who wanted to watch the match together. This made the residents in the evacuation district start approaching the trucks because they wanted to see if Sawol, who was a refugee, could win the final test. Meanwhile, inside the arena, Ryu and several ministers were seen approaching the venue. Even the president's mother also came there, but for some reason, Jae-jin didn't show up, despite being invited by the president's mother. Then, when the match began, Ju Gyong immediately unleashed his deadly strike, which overwhelmed Sawol and almost knocked him out in the first round. Not only that, but Ju Gyong continued to brutally attack Sawol in the second and third rounds, causing Sawol to suffer severe injuries. This worried some people, as they thought Sawol would lose the match. Later, when 41 asked why Sawol seemed weakened, it turned out that Sawol intentionally allowed himself to be defeated to test the strength of his opponent. After discovering Ju Gyong's weakness, Sawol quickly unleashed his strongest punch, defeating Ju Gyong with just one blow. On the other hand, when 58 received information that some people driving Cheonmyong's vehicles had triangle tattoos on their necks, he immediately went to the location provided by his informant. Upon seeing the armed individuals, 58 shot them all and successfully captured one of the men with the triangle tattoo. After the man passed out, 58 attempted to retrieve the explosive device located behind his neck. While trying to interrogate him, it turned out that those people intentionally brought Cheonmyong's trucks to the evacuation district because their goal was to lure everyone who wanted to watch the final match. Unbeknownst to them, during the ongoing final match, Ryu had contacted some of his chosen individuals to join in the midst of the refugees who were watching together. However, these individuals were carrying bags filled with explosives. As soon as the match ended, they detonated the explosives, killing everyone present. Upon witnessing this event, 58 became extremely angry and planned to destroy Cheonmyong Corporation to avenge the deceased refugees. Meanwhile, after the match ended, Ryu realized that Sawol was one of the mutant and planned to capture him, and the series then continues. And that's it for the story series of this film. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to support this channel by subscribe, like and share. See you in the next video. Goodbye.